So the On 4K Pro has been out for about a week now. Everybody is singing its praises, but there are a couple of things, a couple of key things that I think you guys should know before making a purchase of this new streaming device. Now, first up, we have the actual CPU. Now, prior to this device, we were hoping for a big upgrade for the Pro model, but in reality, if you look on the screen, the S905X4 is really just a marginal upgrade from the previous generation Y4. Now, Elias did a good analysis on this. Here you can see on the Geekbench score that the new 4K Pro gets a multi-core score of 2050 and a single core score of 833, whereas the previous 4K streaming box had a single score of 728 and a multi-core score of 2009, so just a few percent different. And what's very interesting is the previous generation on 4K streaming box, which was the first edition here, we can see even gets a higher score than the new 4K Pro. Now, I'm wondering one of the reasons that could be is the fact that that particular box was running Android 10, I believe. Maybe it's Android 11, but it definitely wasn't Android 12. So maybe the fact that it was running a slightly older version of Android TV, it had less bloatware, less things happening in the home screen, less things running in the background. Maybe that's why the older box running an older version of Android TV was able to get a higher Geekbench score. But as we know, these are just benchmarks. They don't necessarily indicate real life or real world performance. And that's one of the key things that I will be testing very soon. But it is a shame that On didn't use a more powerful chip like S905X5. I understand that they have to try and keep the costs low, but maybe they could have sacrificed that built-in speaker or maybe the backlit remote control. I'm sure more people would have preferred having a faster system on chip than those other features there. So that's really the first thing of concern. You're not going to see any major performance boosts with this Pro version. Next up, there seems to be some confusion regarding what kind of remote controls will I get with my new On 4K Pro, as there seems to be at least 3 different variants. We've got the standard white remote control, which doesn't have a backlight. We've got the inverted colors remote control, which again doesn't have a backlight. Then we have this third type here where you have this massive free TV button, and most of the ones with this particular one do seem to have a backlight. Now, backlight is quite a premium feature that you wouldn't really see on a cheap device like this, so it is a nice feature that On have included this, but I really can't explain why we would have 3 different remote controls for the same box. Generally, if you're paying the same price, then you should get the same features, so it would be unfair that one person pays $50, gets a backlit remote control, whereas the next person pays the same price and he just gets a previous generation looking remote control. At the moment, we can't really confirm from just the box of which remote control you'll get inside, but if you have already purchased one of these devices, do leave a comment below and let me know which one do you have. Is it A, B or C? Is your remote control backlit or not? And what you think about that particular remote control. But I would say that it is a nice feature that they included the ability to have a custom key where you can then rebind it to another application or maybe even a custom launcher if you want to do that. So it is a nice feature that you will get that on all 3 remote controls, but it would have been better if there was some uniformity and they were all backlit. The next issue which could be of concern is, for some reason, lots of people have reported that on the new On 4K Pro streaming box, Dolby Vision seems to be permanently on inside Netflix. What this means is for certain movies or certain shows, particularly older ones where they don't support Dolby Vision, because the box is actually forcing that to be on, it's really messing up the colors, where the picture just looks very, very oversaturated, really unnatural, and it really just messes up your viewing experience if you do use Netflix. In fact, do leave me a comment below if you've noticed this issue on your particular device as well. We had other issues with other Android TV devices in the past where HDR was permanently enabled, which again caused issues for users of those devices. Next up, we have an issue reported regarding USB storage. So lots of you do like to watch your movies and TV shows directly from a USB drive. Now, firstly, it's great that the On 4K Pro has a full-size USB port, a full-size USB 3 port, which means, for example, if you want to use a USB 3 gigabit adapter or maybe a USB 3 hub, all of that's possible. But unfortunately, if you want to use a USB drive or a USB hard drive to play movies or play TV shows, unfortunately, this device only supports FAT32. So FAT32 has lots of limitations. The main one being that it only supports a single file size of 4 gigabytes. So people that like their high quality, high bitrate, remuxes, really big files, unfortunately you are going to be limited with that 4 gig file size. I believe the first generation on 4K box actually supported exFAT, which didn't have that 4 gig limitation. So if this is your particular scenario where you are somebody that watches movies from a USB drive with that FAT32 limitation, you are going to be limited to that 4 gig file size. And the last one is just the lack of availability. So as you guys know, this particular device is only available through Walmart, and unfortunately, unless you live in United States, it's very, very difficult to get a hold of this box. So yes, it has a great price point. Yes, it has some great features, but if it's not accessible, then how can people in Europe or in other parts of the world get access to a device like this? I know I have already seen on eBay, people are selling this device with international shipping for $150, $200. So really at that price point, I'll just buy an NVIDIA Shield or something else instead, because there's no way a device like this is worth anywhere near even $100 because of those particular limitations. I would still say that if you are somebody that can pick up this device for $50, it is still worth checking out, particularly if some of my earlier points don't apply to you, like you don't care about Dolby Vision in Netflix, you don't care if the remote control is backlit or not, you don't care about the slight or the marginal performance increase, you just want a device that you know is fully certified. It also gives you that 3 gig RAM and has that built-in 32 gig storage. At that price point, then it is worthwhile checking out. And I do actually have this device being shipped to me. Troy Point, who I'm sure you're all familiar with, very kindly offered to send me this device in the UK. As soon as I get this device, I will put it through the paces. I will compare it to the 4K Firestick, maybe also to the previous generation on 4K streaming box to see how does it stack up. So really appreciate your support. Do leave me a comment below. Let me know if you come across those limitations I've mentioned in this video. If you have this box already, do let me know what you think, and I'll hopefully catch up with you guys real soon. Thanks.